our webinar this morning on using Microsoft Power Platform to digitally transform. Just before we start, I just want to make sure everybody can hear us and see us. So if someone doesn't mind sticking a thumbs up or something in the chat. Good, right, yeah, I see. Okay, good, we're good to go. Okay, so look, I'm joined this morning, if we move on there. In terms of the next slide. Yeah, look, my name is Neil Phelan. I'm CEO here in HCS, and I'm joined this morning by Mick Brown. Mick is our head of DT and business applications with HCS, and I'm joined this morning by Kathy as well from head of marketing, and Kathy is keeping us all on the straight and narrow. So if anybody has any questions during the presentation or webinar this morning, please put them into the chat box. It's moderated, and Kathy will look after that for us. And if we'll have a bit of a Q&A at the end. So my role this morning is really just to do a very quick introduction into HCS, and then Mick will take you through the bones of the presentation and the demo this morning, and we hope everybody enjoys it. Okay, so just tell you a little bit about HCS. We are, as you know, for those who don't know us, HCS, we're an IT company, telecoms provider with a mission, and I suppose to empower people and their businesses with the best-in-class solutions and services they need to succeed. That's essentially our mission. We've been doing this for the past 26 years. We operate from 3 locations in Dublin, Waterford, and Cork. Currently employing about 45 employees, servicing 350, over 400 plus active clients at the moment. Turnover in 2022-23 just short of 5.9 million, and we've a strong forecast over the next 12 months. And while we have many certifications from Microsoft and Fortinet, I suppose a key one for us is having ISO 27001. It's so important in terms of from a security point of view. In terms of what we offer, I suppose a number of key different services, from outsourced and managed IT services, cloud solutions for both the SMB and enterprise, security solutions for the SMB and enterprise, and obviously the key area what we're looking to talk about this morning around digital transformation services, and we also, new to this table, is we're doing business applications too as well. That's a webinar to have a discussion on another day. We would do infrastructure design and upgrades around general IT and telecoms and hosted phone systems. So there are some of the key different area of key parts of the business in terms of what we offer. In terms of who we work with, in terms of partners, we work with 3 main partners: Microsoft and Fortinet and Dell. And while we do have many partners in that we work with, they are our 3 main people. We work with many different customers across a wide various different sectors in the business too as well. So it's yeah, from pharma to hotels to government to food. It varies. Okay, so look, I'm going to leave it over to Mick to run the rest of the presentation. He's going to take you through the agenda. I'll pop back in the end for some Q&A, but I'll leave you over to Mick to take you through the bones of what needs to be discussed. Good.
Thanks very much, Neil. Thanks, Neil. After Neil's given us a little bit of an introduction there about the company, let's go have a little look at the agenda and see what type of thing we're going to see today. So what we'd like to talk about today is what digital transformation is, how that affects you, how it helps you, how things can be better, I suppose, using digital transformation. And once we've kind of gone through that, we'll have a look at some of the challenges faced by businesses, how practically you can digitally transform yourselves, or we can enable you to transform. We'll look at the Microsoft Power Platform and Microsoft 365 tools as well, which are the enablers to digital transformation. After that, we'll go through a short demo really of 2 or 3 applications actually that we've built that really sort of encapsulate what it is that we do and how we do that. I'll talk a little bit about a case study, and then we'll go back to Kathy and take some Q&A, see if anybody's putting any questions in the question box there. Now, you'll just have to bear with me a little bit, because one thing that I have noticed is that I've lost a screen, if you like. So anyway, the important thing is that we are able to move forwards through the presentation. So as soon as this screen is loaded, what is digital transformation? Finally, here we are. So not so long ago, business change was probably based around three core areas of people, process, and technology. We're probably familiar with this new phrase, digital transformation. People have been talking about it a little bit at the moment. You'll see a definition there on the screen, really, of what digital transformation is: an opportunity to automate redundant, repetitive, and error-prone activities and tasking that's driven from that. The whole idea, the ethos of digital transformation is really for efficiency and making your business operate simpler. Now, in HCS, we've been performing digital transformation type projects since 2019. There's obviously a number of Microsoft certified Power Apps developers inside our team. You know, at the moment we're at 4 people, growing up to 8 people, and we've 30 plus active clients at the moment as well. Like, you know, so we're doing fairly well with it. It's good for us. These days, I suppose digital technology has provided us with better tooling that allows us the ability to embrace these digital technologies and evolve and revolutionize business operations. Our whole thing is about delivering a better customer experience, and really I hope you'll see that come across in some of the demonstrations. So just moving on to the next slide now. Some of the challenges that we actually face, this obviously isn't a complete list, but we'll all be familiar with some of the things that we're seeing on the screen at the moment. So Power-based workflows, paper-based workflows, basically we're trying to turn them into Power Platform-enabled workflows. We often see situations where data is siloed, difficult to combine. Manual document signing is a difficulty that we kind of have, the onboarding of new trainees, that kind of stuff. As I say, it's not a complete list, but we'll all be familiar with some of these limitations, and really what we want to do is try and work our way around them. So how do we digitally transform? We evaluate your business and find areas for improvement. And hopefully, when we're able to do this, you yourself and us working in conjunction there would be able to identify objectives and goals about how a project could physically work for you and what we could actually do with that. So the nice thing about that is that once we've developed the objectives that you're attempting to achieve, then we can go into, we can build a project roadmap, which basically sets a budget and a set of timelines around everything. And that allows us to kind of get moving, start a journey, and then keep on going with that. The objective of this is really just to incrementally build on what it is that we've done before and move forwards with that. Once we're able to do that, then the good thing about that is that we've built a platform, we've built a foundation, we can kind of move on from that. We're back to the same old problem, I'm afraid. So the enablers to digital transformation are the Microsoft Power Platform. So what I've done here is, like, the first 3 that you'll see on here are the Microsoft Power Platform are the kind of tooling that you've probably all heard about before, which is Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI. So Power Apps is where the visual elements are created, typically the screens that are used for web and mobile devices. And the definition of business logic often takes place inside Power Apps, and that's what drives the program flow. Power Automate is where we take care of process and workflow type automation. So this is the technology that can enable a process to run outside of business hours. You know, typically we'd see things like emailing a set of business reports to a group of people at a certain time of the day. I'm kind of working with some people at the moment that require a set of reports to be distributed to sales executives at 10 a.m. every morning. And it's Power Automate that basically facilitates that and enables that to happen. So Power BI is the third one of the Power Platform trio, really, BI being standing for business intelligence. And this is what provides the insights and the reporting to the transactions that you've actually collected in an operational environment. So the next two that we'll see across the platform here, you'll already be familiar with. So SharePoint and Teams. SharePoint is obviously used as a storage device for records and documents. And Teams is your unified communications environment. This is the space where collective knowledge is shared, and it allows for communication as well. So those two tools in particular you'll already be familiar with. I've actually added on here as well. We've added on Dynamics 365 Business Central, because that's the scalable enterprise resource planning or accounting system, I suppose, that can support a business as it grows out of starter accounting systems, and then kind of moves up from tooling like Xero, QuickBooks and Sage 50 up into something a little bit more robust and scalable for the future. But we'll be doing a webinar dedicated to that in the near future. So these tools can be individually used to create an effect, or they can be combined into some other effect as well. The ability, I suppose, to creatively combine them into solutions will reduce effort inside your organization. Primarily, the purpose is to help you operate more efficiently and effectively, and that's the type of digital transformation that we're promoting and we're particularly interested in kind of moving forwards with. So what we're going to do now is we're going to drop off into the demo side, and in the demo, let me just get up the screens here. Can you see this now? So on the demonstration side of things, what we're going to do is we've built a little bit of a showcase here that enables us to kind of easily show off, I suppose, some of the examples of digital transformation that we've undertaken. I think the first one that we're going to take a look at is a Power application, which has been enhanced with a Power Automate workflow. So this is the first one is sort of fairly basic and common business issue that we've all come across when we're either visiting other companies or when we've got visitors visiting us inside the business. And that application, we call it Swipe In. So Swipe In is just loading here. So you can imagine the scenario, okay? Somebody has just arrived in the car, they've come to visit you inside your company, and they're parked up in the car park outside. They've just come into the reception. Look at the typical sort of business scenario that we go through there. Like, you know, the first of all is the receptionist needs to get hold of the person that's visiting, that they're visiting, so the host of that. And then we also need them to kind of give us a few details about themselves and maybe comply with a few things on the site as well. So let's have a look at what the visitor sees. They click on this object here that says visitor in, and normally you'd be running this from a tablet or something similar. So I'm just going to put in some details here. Company is ABC. Email is a@abc.com. I'm going to put my phone number in there. 712312334, and then I'll put my car registration inside here. The reason for doing this is that, say, you know, we often face this scenario, don't we, where somebody comes along and sort of says, who's that Volvo out in the car park, they're blocking me in. So I'm going to continue with this, and now I'm presented with a series of questions, I suppose, that we're interested in here. Now, we've left this questionnaire inside here because this is to do with COVID, all in the past for us now, thank God. But the good thing about this is I can kind of click through this and say, no, I've had no symptoms, nothing's bad happened in the last 14 days. I can submit this. Now, the next thing it says is, who are you here to visit? Well, I'm actually here to visit Kate Higgins. So let me just find Kate. There she is. And then I get this window that comes up here that says notify Kate. I'm going to click on this. And this is where Power Apps has interacted with Microsoft Outlook. And Kate will now get a notification that you're here and waiting in reception for her. And she'll come down, pick you up. And then we're good to go with our visit. So, you know, this is a basic application that's allowed us to capture relevant details. Let's look through some of the scenarios that we kind of went through there. We allowed people to record their details. We ensured we ensured that they had got key information about their visit in our site, which was COVID-19 in this case. We've informed the visitor that we've informed the host of the visitors here, and we've maintained a record of the visit that day in a way that hasn't compromised any GDPR requirement, or it hasn't sort of opened up any competitive information to other visitors either. So I can go to this here and look at this visitor list here, and this visitor list will tell me or tell people that are enabled all of the people that have visited, and this allows us to audit what's happened. We can maintain a record for the thing, and everything's good. You know, at this point in time, we've kind of moved forwards and maintained a record if anybody was to ask us about that. So that was the Swipe In application, and the data stored away for that visit in a SharePoint list, which we can access again, and we can kind of keep a record of that as we move forwards. The next one that I want to have a look at is this service support management thing. So basically in HCS, I'm just going to look at this HCS dashboard. So this is a bit more of a complex thing. So if we look at the same basic principles of digital transformation are actually in play here, but we're using a more complex scenario where we're dealing with thousands of records at a time. You know, each of these records has a certain amount of time sensitivity with it. Let me just elaborate on that a little bit. So in 2022, HCS dealt with 18,000 unique customer support interactions. And each one of those interactions, you will have called our help desk yourself, like they need to be assigned to a team and a responsible individual, and depending on the relative priority or the impact of these incidents, somebody may need to respond within 30 minutes, within 2 or 8 hours, depending on the type of issue. So this team report here that we're actually looking at the moment, what this actually allows us to do is this gives us a live update of the current status of all tickets. So this is the situation right now today. So we're seeing a scenario here where I can see that this was last updated at 11:21. It's actually 11:21 now. And I'm seeing the state of the nation as it is today. So here we can see the tickets that have been open and closed on the day. We can see the average response time down here of 1.78 hours of being able to respond to our tickets. With this view, I can also drill down into any aspect of this data. So basically, all of the visual elements on this page will support an element of drilling down into it. Okay, I'm able to turn on and off in this top right-hand corner up here. You'll see this interactive mode being turned on or off. Okay, so if I go into interactive mode, just remember that I said this is the state of the nation now. What I'd want to do is sometimes I'd want to be able to look at a report that was based in time. So I could compare this, for example, with last year. So I can basically, in my date scenario here, I can kind of pick a time window that I want to see reports by. I can see the tickets that are allocated to agents. I can see the feedback that's coming up from the tickets. So again, we're using this report, which is being collated on a minute by minute, really, from help desk interactions that we're having. But this report is actually being used to give us a snapshot of things as they are right now, and then it gives us the ability to kind of go back or walk back in time to see this online kind of analysis type scenario where I can go into these what if scenarios from here, and then understand, how are we in this quarter of the year compared to the same quarter in the same period last year? I can make those what if comparisons there. Just take another look at another different view of this agents report. This is the same data really, but this gives me visibility of closed tickets. So I'm able to see comparisons with yesterday, comparisons with comparisons with last month, last week, anything like that. Again, all of this information is available in SharePoint. However, the data here has obviously been summarized from being pure data to actually having context, because this supports management decision making actually happening, because you can kind of look at this data, and from this data I can see who's overborne with work at the moment, who could I assign work to, and as a team manager, it supports a lot of business contexts that I would actually be looking here. So I'd be worried about things like SLA breaches. I've got a view down here that gives me SLA breaches. So SLA breaches are service level agreements. I don't want to fall outside any contract that I have with you as a customer with service level agreement. And the nice thing about this is that I'm able to see in the last 30 days I've had no service level agreements, and that's a good story for me to work off. The other thing about this is we're also able to see the customer report whenever we close a ticket on your behalf. I'm able to see negative feedback inside that as well. So as a team lead, I can proactively be on top of any negative feedback before it even has a chance to grow arms and legs and turn into anything of an issue. So that's another example, I suppose, of how the interaction between all of the components of the Microsoft Power Platform and the I suppose the team infrastructure, the Office 365 infrastructure in the back end, how that actually works and how that kind of brings together a positive result from a business point of view. I think for the final one, we'll just have a quick look at this site survey here as well, because this is quite an interesting one. So when we do a site survey or a pre-sale survey, what we tend to do is we send an engineer out to take a look at the site and understand. That engineer is our kind of ears and eyes on the site, if you like. You probably had one of the people visit in to give you, a site visit to assess your current state ahead of any new projects that you've been thinking about. So as you can see here, I've opened up the application. Now, immediately, it understands my presence, that I'm a logged in person, and reflects the fact that I'm the person actually submitting the survey. So I'm able to record the information that I come up with on this site survey. So let's create a survey here. Inside this survey here, what I can actually do is I can record information that's kind of going on. I can actually upload tickets inside here. Normally I'd be taking pictures with the camera as I'm walking around. I can record information about the firewall. Again, if there's anything interesting about the firewall, I can take pictures and record this. The whole point of this at the end of the day is that I want to be able to save this information. Think about the business scenario. I'm the engineer out on the road, and what I need to do is sometimes I need to get time sensitive information back to the office. And as soon as I'm pressing send, or as soon as I'm pressing save here, immediately that's being recorded back up onto the server, and that's available to all of the people that kind of work in my office. But the other thing about this is that I'm also able to go back and here we go. Have a look at this, click the button to generate the document. So this is an interaction with Word or a PDF document. At this point in time, this isn't actually connected into Word, but you can see here from the survey that I've just done, it's connected, it's collated the bones of the information that I've collected on site here. And that's going to put that up into a Word template that allows me then to start putting, I've gathered the quantitative information, if you like, that allows me to now edit my Word report and then start injecting all of the qualitative type of assessment of the things that we need to do. So this, I suppose, is a short demo, obviously, but I think hopefully this gives you an idea of the type of capability that can be brought to bear with your own business. As we said earlier, the development timelines in this are much quicker than the traditional coding timelines. And therefore, any ideas that you kind of have about how you can move your business forwards, those types of ideas can become reality relatively swiftly. Because the time to actually take your idea and turn it into a product is much, much quicker than it used to be. So they're the main points that I wanted to demo. I'll just go back to the slideshow. And I think what we want to do here is we want to just highlight something. Jeremy's on the call at the moment, I believe. I saw him in the waiting room earlier on. But this is some feedback that we had, actually. We worked with NCCA, which is the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. We actually created about 4 applications for them, I think. But this came together as as a rounded solution of what digital transformation offers and the way that we are able to build from the bottom up with interactive applications that blend and work together well to provide the business outcome that we're looking for. And I think you'll see here from the endorsement there, obviously that was a positive journey, and that's exactly what we're looking for from digital transformation. So I think at this point we'll hand back to Kathy and just see if we've got any questions and answers coming up from this.
Hi. So we've just a couple of questions that have come in for yourself and Neil, Mick. The first one is there any additional licensing requirements for Power Apps?
Yeah, I'll jump in there on that one if that's okay, Mick. Generally, there isn't. In terms of, it depends on how you're building the solution and what you're looking to do. We would always try and propose to use the Power Apps licensing for Office 365, and by doing that, as long as someone has got a standard business license through M365, which is one of the lower plans, they already have access to it. So it's built into, if they already have Microsoft 365 licensing, it's already built into it. The only place where you need additional licensing for Power Apps is where you have a premium connector and you're looking to connect to SQL data or an SQL server, be it on-premise or be it in the cloud. That's when you need to then move into Power Apps licensing. And Power Apps licensing can be quite expensive on a per user basis if you've got a lot of different users using the application. The other licensing that's needed would be for Power BI. Generally, if you're consuming reports, you don't need Power BI licensing, but if you're a creator of the report, you would need a Power BI Pro license.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers that one.
Just one more question has come in there. With Power BI, can you connect to on-prem or cloud data sources?
I suppose, yeah, that comes back to that particular licensing thing. Yes, you can. You can connect to both on-prem data using a Power BI gateway, and you can connect to cloud data too as well. So yes, you can consume data from all of those sources. And again, actually, it comes back to from the previous question, the licensing that you would actually need is just for the Power BI person who is the creator of the license. That's what you would need.
Okay, that's all the questions that have come in.
Short and sweet this morning.
Short and sweet, yeah.
Okay, Mick, we got off the hook. So look,
you just did a really good job.
Okay, good,
well,
good.
Apologies for the hiccups there.
That's okay, Mick. Look, we're thank you all very much for this morning. I hope you've kind of learned a little bit more about what digital transformation is and some of the tools that are out there. I'm sure everybody's heard of all these particular tools anyway, but I suppose that's what we do is we combine them to form a solution, and we'd be quite happy if anybody wants to have a no obligation conversation with us. Please do. You could reach out to myself, Neil N. Phelan at hcs.ie, or Mick Brown, that's mbrown@hcs.ie. We'll send you out the presentation. We might edit the video or the recording and remove remove some of the blank space, and then we'll send that out again. And look, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you again for your time this morning. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.